So I came back, didn't know what I'd do. I promised my wife that I would take a year off and do nothing. I turned down some opportunities for good jobs in the Washington, D.C. area. I mean, high-paying jobs anyway. And I said, well, I'll just do nothing for a year. You gave me the last 31 years in the Air Force. The next year is yours. You're very generous, wasn't it? And so I did nothing for a year, except I started playing with ideas. And we traveled during that time to see family and friends in the United States. We traveled a lot overseas, so we did a lot of traveling in the U.S. and really enjoyed it. Bought a house in Norman. And I didn't know I would come back to Oklahoma because we have lived so many places. We've lived in California, Virginia, Florida, Texas, Idaho, South Carolina, so many places, and overseas in Germany and England and Belgium. And I've had military units under my command in Japan and Korea and Iceland and Alaska and Panama and several states in the United States. So we've lived many places, and we've loved every place we've been, because what I find is that people make the place. That's what's important. It's not the weather, the scenery, that's nice, but it's really the people. And so you can be happy anywhere, I'm convinced. But Oklahoma was home. And we had a condominium here that we had bought many years ago for our daughter to live in. And I bought it at its maximum value, so I decided to keep it. And we just used that as a base of operation. And we said, you know, Norman seems more like home than any place. So we just stayed, bought a house. And I played with ideas and started wanting to make some money from those ideas, selling those ideas. I needed the resources of a company. And so I teamed with a company here in Oklahoma, an engineering company. And we did some joint ventures together and got some contracts together. And then they asked me to run the company. And I did. And I ran the company for, I think, about 7 years. And it was a privately owned company. And I wanted to, we were improving the company, and I wanted to get more employee ownership. I wanted the owners to virtually sell out to the employees. They didn't want to do that, and that's fine. It's their company. So I said, it's time for me to retire again. And I retired, and about that time, Dean Crines was the dean here. He asked me to accompany him to a worldwide engineering conference in Salt Lake City and give a talk on leadership, and I did. When we got back, he said, would you develop and teach a course on leadership and management in the College of Engineering? And I said, no, I don't know how to do that. He said, think about it. So I played with some ideas and put together a course, and I didn't know how to do it. I just put together what I thought would be what I would like to know if I were a student. He said, let's try it. And I said, I'll give it a try. If it fails, I'll just assume I wasn't cut out to do this. If it succeeds, I'll do it for a maximum of 2 years. Because then I figured I wanted to do something else. That was 12 years ago. I've been teaching my course for 12 years. This is 2009. I started in 1997. And I thought, if I can teach the students that, what I think works and what doesn't work, or what, in my view, works and doesn't work, if they can learn from my mistakes, then in the words of my favorite philosopher, Yogi Berra, he says you need to learn from the past, then you won't make the wrong mistakes. If you think about where you're going and what you want to accomplish in life, then you can put up some guardrails now. You can say, okay, what behavior do I have to have in order not to derail me from getting to my goal? What do I need to do now? What do I need not to do? What do I need to avoid, and what do I need to accomplish? And I try to get them to get some discipline in their lives. I didn't have a lot of discipline in my life when I was their age, but I try to get them to, so I don't get upset with them when they're not disciplined. But I say, you've got to be disciplined if you're going to accomplish the goals that you have. You know, some of them say, well, I just can't get things done. I don't use my time well enough. And I said, there's no big secret to that. Just figure out what you've got to accomplish next week and make a list. And from that list, make a list of what you need to do each day and prioritize it. And do number one and nothing else until you finish number one. When I was in Tactical Air Command, one of my commands was commander of AWACS, the AWACS wing at Tinker. And I was a colonel then. I was a brigadier general selectee, but I was a colonel. And the commander of Tactical Air Command, a four-star general, gave each of us wing commanders a little knife. It was sort of the size of a small Swiss Army knife. Make it better. And you turned over and said, make it happen. And that was our job as commanders. And that's the job of any leader, you know, make it happen, make it better. And so we had a dinner one night, a formal dinner, and President Bush, the first, George H.W. Bush, came to speak at our dinner at Tinker. And he and I went on the airplane first because we were going to change clothes. He said, let me see that knife. He said, make it better, make it happen. He said, I like that. Can I have that? I said, no. He said, what? By this time his staff was coming on board. And I said, that's the only one I got. And that's my job. Make it better, make it happen. And I can't get another one. And he laughed and he turned to his chief of staff and said, can you believe this guy won't give me his knife? He said, give me one of mine. So his chief of staff gave him a knife. He said, here, I'll give you my knife. And I still have that knife. It's in a little, it's about the same size. It's a little Swiss Army knife. It's black. It's in a little leather sheath. You take it out and it has the presidential seal and has the engraved signature, George Bush. And I told that story to that four-star general who was retired later. I told him that story. He said, you should have given me that knife. I would have given you another one. I said, I didn't know that.